I'm Natalie Graves Tucker, and on behalf of AARP, I want to welcome you to this broadcast special report, Staying Safe from Scams, Tools, Tactics, and Community Support. Now, before we begin, if you would like to listen to this program in Spanish, press *0 on your telephone keypad now.
Si usted desea escuchar en español, presione *0 en su teléfono ahora.
Today, we are focusing on protecting yourself and your community from scams. Liz Buser, Senior Advisor of Fraud Prevention at AARP, and Staff Sergeant Tara Hardin, TRIAD Coordinator from Oklahoma, will share real-world insights on common fraud tactics, digital safety tips, and how communities can work together to prevent victimization and support those affected. We are connecting with thousands of AARP members from across the nation and will be joined shortly by thought leaders who will take your questions live. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization with a membership, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 60 years, and we are in your corner, fighting on issues that matter to you and your family. If you've participated in one of our town halls before, you know this is similar to a radio talk show where you have the opportunity to ask questions and get answers from our guests. For those of you joining us on the phone, if you would like to ask a fraud or scam-related question, press *3 on your telephone to be connected with an AARP staff member who will note your name and question and place you in a queue to ask that question live. If you're joining on Facebook, you can post your question in the comments. Hello, if you're just joining, I'm Natalie Graves Tucker, and on behalf of AARP, I want to welcome you to this important fraud discussion, Staying Safe from Scams, Tools, Tactics, and Community Support. Thank you for joining us today and participating in this teletown hall. To ask your question, please press *3, and if you're joining on Facebook, you can post your question in the comments. Today, we'll discuss some critical topics that affect all of us, regardless of age, background, or location. Scams can come in many forms, but they often share common red flags such as unexpected communication, heightened emotional reactions, and pressure to act immediately. Recognizing these signs can help you avoid becoming a victim. Remember, fraud can affect anyone, but with the right knowledge and vigilance, you can protect yourself and your loved ones. We'll review ways to protect yourself and your community, and we'll include some resources you can turn to if you or a loved one has experienced fraud. So feel free to have a pen and paper nearby. And of course, we'll answer questions from you, our listeners. To ask your question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time during the call. Today, we're joined by two very special guests. Liz Buser, a senior advisor on AARP's Fraud Prevention Programs team, and Staff Sergeant Tara Hardin, TRIAD Coordinator for Oklahoma. Liz and Staff Sergeant Hardin, so happy to have you both with us today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us. I'm honored.
We also want to welcome a very special moderator today, Karen Morgan, who serves as an executive leadership volunteer with AARP Maryland. She has deep experience in state policy and is a real champion for older adults, and we'll be sharing a brief update on AARP's advocacy efforts a bit later in the show. So let's get started by understanding the basics of scams and what you can do to safeguard yourself. Liz, let's start with you. Can you tell us what people should know about scams, generally speaking, and the steps they can take to protect themselves?
Absolutely, Natalie. The first step toward protecting yourself is to recognize that fraud can affect anybody, regardless of your age, gender, race, income, education, or level of intelligence. Understand that you are not too smart to experience a scam. The main red flags include unexpected communication, heightened emotional reactions, and pressure to act immediately. Recognizing these can help a target from becoming a fraud victim regardless of the tactics used. So be suspicious of digital messages, phone calls, or even snail mail from strangers. If it doesn't feel right, stop communication immediately. And if you find yourself reacting emotionally to someone who's contacted you unexpectedly, that's a red flag. take the time to pause, reflect, and protect. And it's a good idea to have at least one person who can help you identify potential scams by being an objective party that you can consult with. You can always reach out toll-free to the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 877-908-3360. Our trained staff and volunteers are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time to give you advice, support, and resources.
That is great information for us all, Liz. We do want to address scams targeting older adults today, and there is a perception that older adults are more susceptible to them. Is that true?
Natalie, as I mentioned, scammers target everybody, no matter their income, age, all of that. Reality is this: younger adults report theft through fraud more often, but older adults lose so much more money. According to the Federal Trade Commission, adults ages 20 to 29 had a median fraud loss of $417. But adults aged 70 to 79 had a median fraud loss of $1,000. And then for adults age 80 plus, their median fraud loss was $1,650. So again, the reality is everybody's at risk. And factors like stressful life events, financial hardship, loneliness, poor health, which any of us can and do experience, all of this can increase the chance of having our money or our sensitive information stolen from us. Again, this means everybody, no matter our age, background, education, financial status, everybody must be alert and learn how to spot and resist scams.
Now, Liz, when you say everyone, can you elaborate?
Criminals target all of us. I cannot stress that enough. Through our victim support resources and in community, we've met people from all walks of life who've experienced fraud. And they come from all ages, everything from 20-somethings to 90-something-year-olds. We've met folks from all types of careers: CEOs, stay-at-home parents, doctors, researchers, pet sitters, you name it, from all income levels, all types of family situations, from those who have no support system to those having multiple generations of family.
The event is in music hold.
From all across the country.
Music hold ended.
And fraud doesn't discriminate. I cannot stress this enough. Criminals are targeting anybody of any age.
Thank you for that, Liz. It's important to keep in mind that these criminals hone in our vulnerabilities. So let's bring Staff Sergeant Hardin into the conversation. She is with the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office in the state of Oklahoma and is the coordinator of their TRIAD program. This program is a collaborative effort between her county agency, local police departments in her area, and organizations that serve older adults. Together, they work to prevent and reduce senior victimization. Staff Sergeant Hardin, happy to have you with us. I'd love you to share a bit about TRIAD in Oklahoma and talk about how TRIAD collaborates with other law enforcement agencies to combat fraud.
Yes, the TRIAD is a national program through the National Sheriff's Office or National Sheriff's Association, and then here in Oklahoma, particularly in Oklahoma County, we have 22 what are called SALT councils, and SALT stands for Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, and that law enforcement and senior aspect includes Sheriff's Office, who I work for. It also includes municipal police departments and then seniors themselves. So SALT is an actual function of TRIAD, and we do a lot of lessons and activities through those SALT.
And for our listeners in the Oklahoma area, what resources does the TRIAD program offer to help prevent and respond to fraud targeting older adults?
So through those SALT councils, I offer a monthly lesson covering a different topic every month. It's a free 1-hour lesson, and since it is primarily targeted towards older adults, the crime that we know is affecting older adults the most is scams and frauds. So we do a lesson, a free lesson, and one of those is online, which anybody from anywhere can participate in. And then another one is a phone-in lesson. Again, anybody from anywhere, much like today, could phone in and listen to the lesson. And we also do events. I do guest speaking and teaching, and some of that guest speaking and teaching is online, such as we're doing today. We always share AARP's Fraud Watch Network resource. That is a fantastic resource. And then the FTC, the FBI, there's just a ton of tools and tips out there. And our goal is to put that information, those prevention tips, into the hands of as many people as possible.
Now, this is important work and such an asset to the community served. So this is a question for both of you, but Staff Sergeant Hardin, let's start with you. What are some of the most common fraud schemes targeting older adults that you've encountered recently?
Most recently, I bet everybody has received those text messages that look like they're from your local DMV, or a turnpike, or you have a warrant for your arrest. So those text messages, even text messages that appear to be from a random wrong number stranger. You might get a text message that says, "Hey, I'm running late for dinner. I'll see you in 20 minutes," but you have no plans with anybody for dinner. Also, another one that we're seeing a lot is what we call a tech support scam. It's where a pop-up comes on your computer, your tablet, or your phone, and it says your device has been infected. Click here to resolve the problem. That is affecting a lot of people. And then also with regards to the text messages, what we call bank impersonation, to where you get a text message or maybe a phone call or even an email that appears to be from your bank, but it's not really. And oftentimes that text message comes in the form of, "Did you just authorize this charge? Reply yes or no."
Yes. And Liz?
Yes. In addition to what Staff Sergeant Hardin mentioned, we are also continuing to see a huge number of reports of toll road scams. I'm sure if we polled the audience, everybody here would raise their hand and say, yes, we've gotten these. So these are text messages that appear to be from a highway authority or a transponder company like EasyPass, and they're supposedly notifying you of unpaid highway tolls. The messages include a link to a fake version of the sender's website, and they may threaten significant fees if you don't pay your balance immediately. But what happens is that providing payment not only charges you for tolls you don't owe, but it could provide these criminals with your credit card details. And clicking on the link may also expose your device to malware. So we say, if you receive a text message notifying you of unpaid highway tolls, just don't respond. And if you are concerned that an unpaid toll message could be legitimate, contact either the toll road authority or your transponder provider if you have one. Another one I wanted to mention are imposter scams, especially government and business imposter scams. Imposter scams are exactly what they sound like. They're a common type of fraud where criminals pretend to be somebody you trust, like a government official, like a representative from a business. And they, of course, impersonate family members. And again, what these scammers want is they want to steal your money and or your personal information. And the scammers use high-pressure tactics. They create a sense of urgency because they want you to make quick decisions. So, for example, in a government imposter scam, the IRS, I'm sure we've all gotten these calls. You get a call saying you owe back taxes and you face immediate arrest. Or a business imposter scam, like as Staff Sergeant Hardin was talking about, they'll impersonate, Microsoft or Norton and say you have a virus on your computer. So just a quick reminder that legitimate organizations are never going to contact you out of the blue to ask you for sensitive information or payment. And then the last one I wanted to touch on that we keep hearing about are employment scams. So, beware of any job postings that offer a large income with little to no training or experience. Beware of offers that are guaranteed to pay off quickly or double your investment, as well as offers which require you to pay in advance for certification, training, or materials. We especially are hearing about employment scams that are advertised as work from home because so many people are looking for this option. So it's important to do your research on the company and reach out to the Fraud Watch Network, for example, if you want help figuring out if something is or isn't legitimate.
This is great information, both of you. Liz, earlier you mentioned that someone contacting you out of the blue or even just your reaction to that could be a red flag. Can you dive a little deeper into the red flags of a scam?
Happy to do so, Natalie. Many types of fraud follow a predictable pattern. We think there's three elements that, when they come together, account for maybe 90% of all scam attempts. An unexpected communication that yields a heightened emotional response, and it involves urgency to act immediately. So we're figuring out a way that we can all remember that when these three elements come together, we should immediately disengage. I want to focus on these big three, so there are a host of telltale scam signs in most fraud attempts. So I want to go back to unexpected communication. So be wary of any contact out of the blue. For example, if you get an unexpected phone call from a government authority, like your local sheriff's office, maybe they say they're Staff Sergeant Hardin, or maybe they're saying they're the IRS or Social Security. That should raise a red flag, since government agencies don't contact you out of the blue. And then that brings us to the second red flag, if the communication yields a heightened emotional response. Criminals have great success with emotional manipulation, and they know if they can quickly get their target into a heightened emotional state, then they have won. And that's because when we're in that emotional place in our brains, it's not easy to access logical thinking. Scammers call this tactic getting their targets under the ether. And when the criminal gets us under the ether, our emotions take over our brain's response to the situation, and it blocks out a rational response. And that's why to outsiders, scams seem so obvious. But we must remember that the victim couldn't access logic when they experienced the fraud. And then finally, the third red flag, it involves urgency. You must act immediately to address the situation. It usually includes a request for money through an unconventional payment method like a gift card, wire transfer, cryptocurrency, or peer-to-peer payment app. Think of a scenario where you get a text from what appears to be your bank, like Staff Sergeant Hardin was talking about. They're asking if a recent large withdrawal was made by you. You respond no and immediately get a call from your bank that there's fraud happening in your account and you need to take immediate action to protect your funds. But it could also be any other type of urgency. Maybe Publishers Clearinghouse has contacted you or supposedly contacted you, saying you won $1 million in a luxury car. But the catch is you have to act immediately and pay taxes up front to claim your winnings because time is running out. Or it could be your utility company calling, claiming you haven't paid your bill, and they're on their way to cut off your heat on the coldest day of the year. But you can solve the problem by paying the bill quickly by purchasing a gift card and sharing the numbers off the back.
And I think that we've all experienced similar scenarios. I know I have, my mother has, and I'm like, please do not respond to those texts. It can be nerve-wracking. So what do you do? Can you share any advice when you encounter any of those three red flags?
Absolutely. We all have experienced these types of scenarios. So first, take an active pause to help you regain control of the situation. And then reflect on what you may know about the scenario and determine if it makes sense. And finally, take the necessary action to protect yourself by ending communication, and then reach out for help if needed, like through our helpline or your local law enforcement.
Thank you for all of that, Liz. We have a lot more content to cover, but first, listeners, let's get to some of your questions of scams. To ask your question, just press *3. I'd now like to bring in Karen Morgan, Maryland Volunteer Executive Council member, to help facilitate your calls. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks, Natalie. Happy to be here.
Karen, let's take our first question.
Okay, Natalie, we have Lee from Mississippi.
Hi, Lee from Mississippi. What is your question?
For taking my call. Last week, I got a serious call from someone identifying themselves as AT&T, and I was told that my TV service was going to be cut off immediately, and if I did send a $250 security deposit. And I told him, I said, I never did that. I don't have access to doing that. And then they said, well, send a predated check. I said, oh, no, I would never do that. And they said if I did it, my service will be covered for the next 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, I would receive my deposit back. I hung up the phone, and they called me back on another call, a line, and they recognized themselves as a supervisor, gave me his name, a callback number, and I told them I'm not interested, da-da-da-da, so I hung up again. And I was telling this to some friends of mine, and they said that I stayed on the phone too long because now these scammers can use AI to get your voice put together a message and send it to maybe your bank or your credit card to get access to monies from your account. Now are they using AI to mirror our voices? That's scary. I was concerned with
Yes,
so
thank you for that. Thank you for that. Go ahead.
So the short answer to that question is yes, they do have the ability to use our voices and AI to do what's called voice cloning. A lot of businesses are moving away from using your voice as your identifier because of this. But really, to kind of go back to the fullness of the story and where she began, one of the things that I teach in my lessons, and I know it's so very difficult to do, it's much easier said than done, is to simply not answer your phone. Answer for known friends and family only. Every other call, let it roll to voicemail. And with regards to your voicemail, don't have your voice on that voicemail. Just let the computer voicemail take that. And also don't decline the call. Just simply allow the phone to take its natural course and roll to the voicemail, because by answering the phone, you're exposing your voice, yes, to the capturing, but you're also potentially direct contact with the scammer, and you are increasing the scam calls that you will get. And by declining that call, you are confirming a human being on the other end of that phone, which will also increase that call volume. So just simply don't answer your phone. Friends and family only.
If I could add on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Natalie. I completely agree with what Staff Sergeant Hardin said, and I did want to add on to that, but there are ways that we can protect ourselves as AI is used to fuel more sophisticated scams. So, don't trust your caller ID because scammers can spoof numbers. Don't click on a link in an email or a text message before confirming it's from a legitimate source, and protect your personal information and more. So just wanted to mention those as well.
All right. Who's our next caller?
Our next caller is Diane from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Diane from Pennsylvania. What is your question?
It is commercials on television, excuse me, to protect you from someone selling your house. Somehow they get a hold of your deed or whatever and sell your house. And that's frightening to me. I don't know how, because there's nothing I do, that would trigger that. They can just do it to anybody. And I thought, is that real? And if it's real, is Social Security or whatever going to fight like the Congress to get some kind of law passed that it's harder to transfer my deed or however they do it? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Thank you for that. Liz, are you familiar with that?
Sure. So first thing I would say is just be wary of any commercials like that. If you see something on TV, for example, and you're wondering, if it is or isn't legitimate, call our helpline, 877-908-3360, because we can help you do the research and figure out whether it is legitimate. That being said, there are home title theft title fraud and seller impersonation scams out there. They're increasingly common. They're often successful. Sometimes a scammer will impersonate an owner and hire a real estate agent to list and sell a property. And then the scammer walks away with the sale proceeds after their closing. So title theft, is a real estate crime. It is out there, but again, I wouldn't necessarily trust the commercials. Do your research, reach out to a trusted entity like the AARP Fraud Watch Network or local government resources, or your AARP state office if you're questioning whether it's something you should be aware of.
And if I could add on to that.
Oh, go ahead.
A lot of the county assessors' offices across the country are implementing alert systems that you can place on your property so that you will be notified if anything gets filed on your property. So I would also suggest checking with your local county assessor's office or wherever you file your deed documents to see if they offer that alert system.
All right, Karen, I think we have time for one more question in this segment.
Okay, this question comes from Facebook. Ruma said, I just spent over $100 on a website I thought was a legitimate business, but never received the product. It looks so real. How can I avoid falling victim to online shopping scams?
Well, don't ever shop through a link. Those ads pop up. Shopping online is not inherently bad. It's just fine. I do it myself. But instead of clicking on that link through Facebook, get out of your Facebook and go directly to the retailer's site. And if it is not a retailer that you have used in the past, I would recommend that you search out the reviews on that retailer and search for the negative ones. People don't often realize that these retailers can pay to have the good ones pushed to the top. So search things like the name of the retailer plus negative reviews, or the name of the retailer and problems. And so search out if there are negative things. Now, every retailer is going to have negative comments, but if you see overwhelmingly from people that they are ordering and not getting their product, that's what we call a red flag, and you probably don't want to order from them. But again, avoid the links, go directly to the retailer site.
I want to thank our participants for such great questions. Keep them coming. Remember, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time to ask your questions live. Liz, let's turn back to you. For some scams, a key part of the deception is to make scams very personal. How do scammers know so much about us, and how do they exploit that information to deceive us?
Well, Natalie, first of all, our information is out there, and scammers are reaching out to their targets through a variety of ways. So by phone, email, text message, online, even by mail and in person. And they're going to use persuasion tactics to try and steal your money and your personal information. So they use tactics like profiling, which means that the criminal's gathering key pieces of information about their target and then using that information to establish credibility and elicit an emotional response. They'll use fear and intimidation. The criminals commonly use those tactics to get their targets under the ether, so to get them into that heightened emotional state. And many cases we hear about begin with inducing immediate fear, like your grandchild's in grave danger. Maybe the police have a warrant out for your arrest, or your computer has a horrible virus. And they use a tactic also called source credibility. Imposter scams, which we talked about, rely on getting the target to believe that the contact is coming from a credible source, like a government agency, a financial institution, or a major business. And again, our information is out there, it's easily accessible, but there are ways that we can empower and protect ourselves, and I'm sure we'll touch on that shortly. But I did want to give a reminder about the three main red flags. When you get unexpected communication that leads to heightened emotional reactions and pressure to act immediately, it's a scam, full stop. And recognizing these can help a target from becoming a fraud victim, regardless of the tactics that the scammers are using.
Thanks, Liz. And how can local communities and organizations support older adults in preventing fraud, Staff Sergeant Hardin?
Well, hosting educational opportunities. I mentioned earlier that we offer the monthly classes online or by phone. So senior centers or meal sites or even senior living communities could log in and offer it to their residents or their participants monthly, staying up to date on the latest information, and utilizing resources like the Fraud Watch Network and the alerts that AARP puts out, just constantly educating yourself. Then also a lot of local news stations will be running spots about local frauds that are happening. So stay alert to the news. If you have Facebook, the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office shares weekly safety tips around scams that are affecting individuals in our local area, but our local area is not unique. If they're affecting us here, they're affecting people all around the country and even around the world. So that social media, and then absolutely word of mouth. When I mentioned earlier about the TRIAD program being a trifold approach, with seniors being that third leg of that, that means that everything you learn, you share with somebody else. You tell your friends and your family members about the scams and share the knowledge that you have with them, so that it helps reinforce it in your mind, but it also helps prevent them from becoming a victim as well.
Thank you. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, we know so many of these crimes are perpetrated by international crime rings. How do international criminal organizations typically operate these crimes? Liz?
It's so important to remember how today's scammers operate, and I'm so grateful to Staff Sergeant Hardin, to our state offices, to everybody that's out there in community educating and empowering folks on how the scammers are operating. While plenty of criminals do work on their own to seek and destroy their next scam victim, a huge amount of scam activity these days is perpetrated by transnational criminal enterprises that operate like businesses. They have offices, they have employees, they buy lead lists, they offer bonuses for the workers who make the most in a given call center shift. They have money, they have time, and they have a playbook that sets out how to get a target to become a victim.
And while much of this feels out of our control, there are still things we can do, right? And in what ways can we take a proactive approach to personal and digital security, especially for older adults who are often targeted by scammers? Liz?
We can all take steps to harden the target. So here's a couple of examples that we always like to talk about. First, create strong and unique passwords for each account that you have, or use a password manager. Second, enable multi-factor authentication on all of your important accounts. It might seem tedious, but it goes a long way into protecting yourself and your information. You'll also want to keep your software, your operating system, and your antivirus programs up to date. And be cautious of unsolicited emails, calls, or messages asking for personal information. You'll want to use secure Wi-Fi networks and avoid public Wi-Fi for sensitive transactions, especially if you're accessing your bank account or other personal information. And it's important to shred documents containing that personal information before disposal. You'll also want to monitor your financial accounts and your credit reports regularly. And you can also sign up for scam alerts and educational resources from the AARP Fraud Watch Network. You can do that at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. Finally, attend community events to stay informed about the latest scams and report suspicious activity to local authorities or to the AARP Fraud Watch helpline.
And all of this diligence can certainly pay off. Staff Sergeant Hardin, give us the good news. Have you had any memorable cases where older adults avoided fraud due to TRIAD's intervention?
Well, there's always the memorable big cases, but I would say the best news is the everyday success stories. The everyday folks that come up to me and say, thank you for educating me because I didn't click on that link. Thank you for telling us about those text messages that are going around because, look, I got one. I didn't click on it. I just deleted it, or I saved it and showed it to my friends. Those are really the best success stories when I know I can't quantify it. We obviously can't put a dollar amount on what would have been lost but wasn't. But I know every day that there are people taking the information, they're educating themselves, and they're putting it to good use. So that those success stories are absolutely the everyday success stories are absolutely the best.
That's fantastic to hear. Everyday success stories can happen to any of us, right? But
Absolutely.
what if the criminals? Yeah, what if the criminals are successful? What immediate steps can you take if you or a loved one has experienced fraud? Liz?
Well, Natalie, first of all, immediately cut off communication with the scammer, full stop. And then report immediately to your financial institutions. Take the time to change your passwords and document the scam so that you can report it to local law enforcement, to the FBI via the ic3.gov website, to the Fraud Watch Network helpline, to the Federal Trade Commission, et cetera. And keep an eye on your accounts, stay vigilant. And then, yes, the financial impact of fraud victimization is horrific, but so is the emotional toll. So please seek help to cope with the emotional impact and share your experience with others.
That is great advice. You mentioned reporting the crime. Staff Sergeant Hardin, let me ask you, as law enforcement, how important is it for victims to report scams and fraud, and what are the best ways to do so?
Absolutely. Reporting is, we can't address a problem we do not know exists. So absolutely reporting. Report to your local law enforcement, definitely. But also report to the national levels, the federal levels, things like the FBI and their ic3.gov, even the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And if you have any of these, I'm going to push it again, AARP's Fraud Watch Network can help you with the steps to get that reporting done. But absolutely report it. And don't ever be afraid to report. We are not going to put your face on our Facebook page and say, can you imagine what this person did? We don't do that. So don't be afraid to report to your local law enforcement.
And Liz, do you have anything additional to share?
Yes, before we move on, I do want to say if you or a loved one have experienced fraud, you might be feeling hopeless or insert any other negative emotion, right now. But please, I want to stress, know you are not alone and that what you or your loved one is experiencing is not your fault. And there are some steps you can take. So additional steps, contact your financial institution to see if there's a chance of stopping the transactions that haven't been completed. We talked about filing a police report with your local law enforcement. And again, as Staff Sergeant Hardin mentioned, file a report with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. Then print it, and if you can, go to the nearest FBI field office to see if they can help. And I want to talk more about getting support. As Staff Sergeant Hardin said, you can call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline. Again, that phone number is 877-908-3360. We have an incredible group of trained staff and volunteers who are available to answer your calls from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And I want to talk for a second about our support group sessions. So AARP Fraud Watch Network offers an online support group for fraud victims and their family members. They're confidential, facilitated peer discussion groups. You can meet with others who've been through similar experiences. You can learn more at aarp.org/fraud support. Experiencing fraud can be devastating. It doesn't have to define you. And so we want to offer the support so you know that you're not alone. And I should mention all of our resources are free.
Great advice. And to think of how you are helping others by reporting is a compelling reason in itself. That's great information. Thank you both. I know this discussion continues to prompt caller questions, so we'll be getting back to the phones in just a minute. Please press *3 on your telephone keypad now or anytime during the call to be connected with AARP staff. It's time for a quick advocacy update in a segment we call Fighting for You. We've had the pleasure of having Karen Morgan with us today, who serves as an executive leadership volunteer with AARP Maryland after retiring from a career with the Maryland State Legislature. Karen has spent her career making the government work better for people, especially when it comes to consumer protection and fraud prevention. She has deep experience in state policy and is a real champion for older adults. Karen, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Today we're talking about something on a lot of people's minds, fraud. What is AARP doing to help protect older Americans?
Well, scammers are everywhere these days, and it's really getting harder to tell what's real. AARP is working hard to change that. We're pushing for stronger fraud laws to protect Americans and are making sure law enforcement has the tools to track down and prosecute these criminals. We're fighting for change at the local, state, and federal levels because it's going to take everyone working together to combat the fraud epidemic in our country. We must start demanding real consequences for people who target older adults.
And that's so important. Fighting fraud helps protect people's money and peace of mind. Another big part of financial security for older Americans is Social Security. Can we count on it to be there when we need it?
Well, that's our goal. Social Security is a promise we've all paid into, and AARP is fighting to make sure that promise is kept. We are working every day to protect the benefits people have earned through a lifetime of work. Specifically, AARP is pushing back against cuts, standing up for better customer service, and making sure lawmakers know Social Security isn't just a program, it's a lifeline. I've earned it, you've earned it, and all of us must continue to speak up to protect it.
What can listeners do to help?
They can get involved, join the fight, call your lawmakers, send them an email, stop by their office, or attend a town hall. Let them know issues like fraud and Social Security matter to you. The more of us who speak up, the more Congress will listen. You can also volunteer with AARP in your community. I have found it incredibly rewarding to spend time helping others. And if you want to stay informed, go to aarp.org/get-involved and sign up for a free advocacy newsletter.
That's aarp.org/get-involved. Karen, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Natalie.
Listeners, if you're just joining us by phone or streaming this program on Facebook, today we are focusing on protecting yourself and your community from scams. We are joined by Liz Buser, Senior Advisor of Fraud Prevention at AARP, and Staff Sergeant Tara Hardin, TRIAD Coordinator from Oklahoma. We are sharing real-world insights on common fraud tactics, digital safety tips, and how communities can work together to prevent victimization and support those affected. If you would like to ask a fraud or scam-related question, press *3 on your telephone to be connected with an AARP staff member who will note your name and question and place you in a queue to ask that question live. So on that note, Karen, it's time to take another call. Are we ready?
Yes, Natalie. We have Diane from Georgia on the line.
Hi, Diane from Georgia. What is your question? Diane, you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What's your question?
Oh, good. My question is that I've been getting scam calls from the same number, and I've blocked it, but they still call every day. And what should my next step be?
Excellent question. Liz, can you help her?
That is an excellent question, Diane. Thank you so much for asking it. My first tip would be, of course, to block calls. If you've not already signed up for the Do Not Call registry, go to donotcall.gov, sign up for that. Use your mobile device too. And then there are several apps and services on your phone or for your landline that block out most bogus texts and calls. So sounds like you've done all of that. So my suggestion is to reach out to the Federal Trade Commission. They're the ones that operate donotcall.gov as well, to report these violations, to let them know about the scam phone numbers and the scammers that are contacting, because the more we report, the more they can help out.
All right, Karen, do we have another caller?
Yes, we do. We have Doretta from New York.
Hi, Doretta from New York. What's your question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
And back in 2020, I would say it was January, maybe February, my husband, who wasn't then, he was 59, very, very sick at the time. We think he had COVID in New York before it was even announced that COVID existed. He was home alone, and he received a phone call from a scam artist pretending to be our son. My husband has a name that has a son who's a junior, and it was very upsetting. He did get scammed, but the Suffolk County, in New York, we have a Suffolk County on Long Island, District Attorney's Office was notified right away. We live in a community that has a gate with cameras, and we're able to get a photograph of the driver and his plate. We did get a refund, but it took about 2 years. My question is, this man is out on the street. Because we acted quickly, my husband was very, very embarrassed. The police officers obviously couldn't understand how a man as young as him got scammed, but he was direly sick. And we didn't know that at the time, how sick he was. But I will tell you, the embarrassment was profound. Because my husband acted quickly with my son, they had notified the police. We got the photographs from the community. They were able to retrieve my husband's money, and another person, another woman on Long Island, I believe it was, had been scammed also by the same person. He is out on the streets. We were told this by the district attorney's office after he refunded our money. Over 2 years later, we never didn't put it out of our minds because of everything going on with COVID. But he was released because of the laws in New York. They have, you get released. What's the penalty for a repeat offender like this? And is anything being done nationally to put more penalties on them for scamming people over and over again?
Thank you for that question. I'm so sorry that happened to your family. Liz?
Sure. Doretta, I was going to say, Doretta, I'm so sorry for what you and your husband have experienced. I'm so glad that you all acted quickly. Your call demonstrates a couple things. First of all, it's so important for law enforcement to understand that fraud is a crime and anybody can be targeted, and that it's the criminal's fault, not the victim's fault. So we need more Staff Sergeant Hardin in the world. Regarding the advocacy part, I can't speak specifically to legislation and that, but I can suggest this. First of all, go to AARP.org/FraudWatchNetwork so you can learn more about how AARP is fighting for you. I also suggest you reach out to the AARP New York State office to let them know what you've experienced, and they can offer some advice on and suggestions for who you can reach out to and whatnot. So you can go to AARP.org/NY for that. And then reach out to your lawmakers at the local and federal level. Make them aware of what happened. Emphasize to them, that fraud is something that you're concerned about, that we need to protect everybody from scams and fraud criminals, because it really has an impact, especially these firsthand experiences. It goes a long way in having change happen.
Such great questions from our listeners. Liz, you gave great advice to anyone who may have experienced fraud, yet one of the easiest things to do is to blame the victim, and it's often unintentional. Why is that so beneficial to scammers, and how do we need to reframe our thinking about scams? What can be done to encourage victims to come forward and tell others what happened to them?
That's a great question, Natalie. And I want to say that, all of us here, myself, Staff Sergeant Hardin, Karen, all of us are so passionate about protecting fraud victims. And I want folks to know lots of things go into the making of a successful scam. But at the basis, something scammers have known forever. We talked about this before. It's so worth repeating. If you can get your target into a heightened emotional state, whether it's fear or excitement or even love, then you have a good chance of stealing from them. Again, it's what the scammers themselves refer to as getting their targets under the ether. Because once we're in that heightened emotional state, Once we're under the ether, it is so hard to access logical thinking. And we've heard many victims say after the fact that they felt like they were under some sort of spell and that they did what the person told them to do, and it was as if they couldn't stop. Because what the criminals are doing is they are using our own thought processes against us. So it's not the victim's fault, it's the criminal's fault, and that is where we need to place the blame on the criminal. And society needs to change how we talk about fraud and fraud victims. Shame and blame are a huge reason why fraud is so significantly underreported in this country. And we hear this from fraud victims themselves every day. So we need to put an end to victim blaming. Keep the focus on the criminals. Again, that is where it belongs, full stop. And let's use more empathy and support in how we talk to and about fraud victims. The effects could be enormously positive. You know, more people could report fraud, family relationships could be protected, more police will take it seriously, and hopefully prosecutors will take more cases.
Staff Sergeant Hardin, any tips?
So yes, just to kind of reiterate what Liz was saying on the shame and blame aspect, that shame and blame actually becomes a manipulation tool that the fraudsters use. So if we can get rid of that shame and that blame, that will also help prevent more victimization. And also just, you know, victims realizing that keeping this in the dark, not sharing what happened to them, actually prevents other people from reporting it. Actually, because then other people are afraid, well, maybe I'm the only one. So getting out and telling your story helps other people realize that they're not alone, that there is no shame in this, that this was actually a crime committed against them by a criminal. But it also has a healing aspect to it, to be able to share your story and to tell your side, to have your voice heard, it empowers people to know that they were the victim of a criminal and that they can take the power back. So I encourage people to tell their story. Also, understanding that law enforcement isn't going to expose you and tell on you. When you report being a fraud victim, we're not going to call your kids and tell on you. We're not going to tell all your neighbors or your church. We're not going to make an example of you. So, again, there should be no shame in this and no blaming in this, and realizing that doing so actually empowers the criminals even more.
Liz, can you remind us again what resources or support systems are available for older adults who suspect they might be victims of fraud?
Absolutely, and I want to stress AARP's victim support resources are free, and we are here to help you. Again, if you or a loved one have fallen victim and want support, call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline, 877-908-3360 for assistance. Our trained staff and volunteers will listen, will provide you with next steps you can take. We also have the AARP Fraud Victim Support Group. You can learn more at aarp.org/fraud support. This is a confidential, safe space where you can address the emotional impact of fraud victimization, and we hold small group sessions 6 or 7 times a week on Zoom. Your AARP state office is also a great resource, especially for local services. And then I do want to mention AARP's Older Adult Technology Services affiliate, OATS, has a program that's called Senior Planet. They offer many free fraud prevention and tech-related workshops as well. And there are other resources out there, like Given Hour, Cybercrime Support Network, and others. So I encourage you to check those out.
Staff Sergeant Hardin.
Yes, so exactly what Liz just said. Use some of those other resources. AARP has some fantastic ones, and most people can, even if you're not super tech savvy, you can take a couple of precautionary steps to protect yourself. Things like freezing your credit or watching your accounts very closely, password security. Those are steps that anybody can take with just a little extra effort. Yes, it takes a little extra time, but you can do those to really protect yourself. And some of those methods really are very, very effective.
It's great to know that no one has to do this alone. Staff Sergeant Hardin, I can't help but want to know how criminals are held accountable for the fraud they perpetrate. Is that even possible with so many scams originating from overseas?
So really, that is a multi-layered question. But the short answer is yes, if they can be caught. So there are issues with tracking and tracing them. The criminals are smart. They use encryption. They use VPNs and things like that. So the tracking can be difficult, but it can be done. And then, especially when the scammers are overseas, there's jurisdictional issues. A local police department can't just run to another country and arrest somebody, even if we can trace them. And then the real reality of it is the losses. We talked about the dollar amounts in the beginning. The losses are truly overwhelming the system. So unfortunately, resources are going to those larger losses. But again, reporting is so important. So yes, a multi-layered question. The short answer is yes, but not always. And the finding the person doesn't even necessarily lead to restitution, which is so often what people are hoping for, victims are hoping for.
What is being done to stop fraud criminals?
So this is an issue that we cannot prosecute our way out of. This has gotten so prolific that really prevention is absolutely the best option for you. Educate yourself. Keep up to date on the latest things. Take those few steps to protect yourself. And then, as Liz mentioned earlier, communicate with your legislators. Let them know, either through AARP or directly to your legislators. Let them know how this is impacting people. The Department of Justice has an Elder Justice Initiative that they are advancing. So there is some traction on the federal level. And I know many states are beginning to realize the magnitude of this problem. So keep your voice heard out there.
Great information to think about and share. Thank you. Let's get back to our listeners' questions. Karen, who do we have on the line?
We have Paula from Iowa.
Hi, Paula, out there in Iowa. What is your question?
Well, I'm concerned and disgusted at the same time. You know, we're told at every turn that we need to protect our information and not give any information out. But when our own Social Security office make our information available to people who really shouldn't have it, what are we supposed to do on that?
So thank you for that question. How do we protect ourselves when our information is released? Liz?
So I think there's a lot of tips that we touched on to harden the target. So I encourage you to go to aarp.org/FraudWatch Network. There's a whole slew of tips there, but I think the number one tip is to just stay vigilant. So, monitor your accounts, safeguard your personal information, be wary of any unexpected communication that's out there. Check your credit reports and all of that. That's just a sample of the ways that you and your loved ones can stay safe.
I think we have time for one more question. Karen?
Okay. We have Rochelle from Utah on the line.
Hi, Rochelle. What is your...
Hi. Hello?
Yes. What is your question?
I'm not sure. It's about cryptocurrency scams. My son, I'm almost sure, has been scammed. Like, he got into this program. It strictly was done online and on an app. Supposedly, the woman that contacted him first was from Poland, and he saw it as a way because he's been a contractor his whole life. And anyway, he just They told him he couldn't withdraw any money until the end of August. He tried to withdraw it. They're asking for all the commissions up front before they'll withdraw the money. Supposedly froze the account, and it's $275,000 for the commissions that were supposedly gained through this stock trade or whatever. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that he can do. I think it was one of those romance type things.
Thank you for that, Rochelle. Liz, do you have any advice?
Sure, and then I'm sure Staff Sergeant Hardin will want to chime in too, but I'm so sorry, Rochelle, to hear what you and your son are going through. Financial grooming, pig butchering, crypto investment scam, whatever you want to call it, is problematic. And as Staff Sergeant Hardin said, the losses are unimaginable. What the criminals are doing is, usually it starts off as kind of like a random text message, or maybe you'll get a communication on social media, whatever it is. The bottom line is it involves a fake crypto trading platform where you'll make a small investment and then you'll supposedly get strong returns, and that will lead you to make a larger investment and you're going to supposedly get greater returns. But unfortunately, what happens is this is a fake crypto trading platform. Scammers are using AI to create it. And unfortunately, when the unknowing victim tries to withdraw the earnings, they find that they can't, and their so-called friend disappears. So if you haven't already done so, if your son hasn't already done so, Rochelle, I encourage you to report it to law enforcement, to report it to ic3.gov. The sooner you report, the greater the chance that you'll be able to get some assistance.
Yes, and I would just add to that. I would just add to that, in the reporting, any information that you have, the contact information for that individual, the crypto wallet number that it was put into, any detailed information that you can have, their communications, screenshot those if you can. Oftentimes they're using platforms that are encrypted and you can't access the information later when you try to. So screenshot that and provide that in your reporting.
That's all such great advice. Thank you. Listeners, we've covered a lot on our call today and encourage you to share what you've learned today with your friends, family, and community. Staff Sergeant Hardin and Liz Buser, we thank you so much for your time today. And listeners, thank you for joining us for this discussion. We hope you enjoyed this special report and learned as much as I did. For more information and resources on the fight against fraud, we encourage you to visit aarp.org/fraud. That's aarp.org/fraud. The AARP Fraud Watch Network website is continually updated with new information, and you can sign up for AARP's Watchdog Alerts to stay informed of the latest scams. And don't forget, AARP is local, offering meaningful connections and enriching experiences close to home. To view offerings, visit aarp.org/local. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. This concludes our call.